Hey, it's Chris with Implied Music. So I was talking about my Dance for PD class a couple of videos ago, and I just want to say a little bit more about playing piano for dance class. I'm going to start off by telling two stories, and they both bear directly on my experience. I must have been, God, it was probably 8 years old, and an Olympics was on. The floor exercises used to be accompanied by pianists. I suspect very few of you remember this, but an American's pianist didn't show up. She was going to compete. She was a potential medalist, no pianist. And this Russian pianist, and remember, this is the height of the Cold War. I'm going to say 68, maybe. Russian pianist shows up and goes, I'll play for you. I'll just watch and you just play. You just go ahead and do your thing. And they nailed it. It was thrilling. My 8-year-old self, mind blown. I couldn't imagine what it took. And obviously this, unbelievably strong gymnast, unbelievably strong pianist, improvising in the moment. Totally delightful. Now, we cut forward. I'm 18 years old. It's my first year in college, and I've been playing now for a good long time, played rock gigs, jazz, accompanied singers, things like that. And it was my first year in college, and I meet a young dancer in the dining hall. We start talking and decide to head to the studio to improvise together, create some music on piano, create some movement on the dance floor. I had never done anything like this. And I had that same experience, that 8-year-old self, as I watched the Russian pianist and the gymnast working together, watching this beautiful young dancer playing, supporting the movement, making it happen. It was thrilling. Well, it turned out that accompanying dance classes was a pretty good job for me all the way through college. Paid pretty well. And if you're a young pianist who can improvise and can fit it into your schedule, there are still studios and universities that have accompanists in class. It's a good gig, better than working in the dining commons, which I also did. I was the donut maker on weekend mornings. But that aside, so cutting forward a bit, I became a principal pianist in the school at Boston Ballet. This was after going back and forth coast to coast a little bit, but this was in the 90s. And the school at Boston Ballet was based on a strict Russian principle. It's called Vaganova. Things are very clear, 8-bar phrases, very strict stuff. I had to learn a bunch of repertoire for it. There were some amazing pianists. The company pianists, 2 of them were Russian. It was great fun to sort of connect to that Russian pianism energy that I'd so admired when I was 8. And I have to say, great improvisers, and improvisers in a way that was just really different from the kind of improvisation that we'd been doing, I'd learned in the States. It wasn't based on sort of the black classic tradition of, jazz or forms of European music filtered through the American experience, but rather on Russian folk music and its relationship to the European classical traditions. It's a very different type of orientation. Exciting and really, really great. Just super. It's always a good gig to play class, but eventually it gets tiring. And I got kind of run down by it. And also it's time consuming as well. And I was getting more and more work as writing to picture and theater. And so I stopped doing it. And yet, what I still do is I play Dance for Parkinson's classes. Dance for PD is a program that began at Mark Morris's dance studio in Brooklyn. But here's the thrill, and here's what's great about being a pianist for class. The act of supporting the dancers feeds back to the musician. Of course, course, that's always true in ballet classes. It's always true in modern classes, but it's especially true in Dance for PD. Because a PD patient struggles with a neurological disease which kind of impedes mobility. And if you want to get somebody moving, dance is a great way to do it. And music goes down into the brain like nothing else, right? We backdoor and sort of end run the disease by playing tunes from the younger version of the dancer's self. I play show tunes, I play rock tunes, pop tunes from the 70s, 80s, 90s. I'm 62. Most of the people in class are older than I am. And so we're doing kind of oldies. I'll play the occasional like classical theme if it's appropriate, but mostly what I want to do is tap into the experience of the dancer's youth and mobility, right? And for me, it's great fun to do that, as you can imagine. So listen, I think as musicians, service is a big part of what we do, and it can be service to almost anything. Bach wrote at the end of a lot of his pieces, for the glory of God. Well, it doesn't have to be God, right? It can be your community. It can be the folks boogieing on the dance floor. It can be your students. It can be the sense that there's something missing in the world and I can provide something for it. That sense of something missing comes from, or an absence, there's a space that I want to see if I can find, comes from a commitment to self-inquiry. I think that the capitalization of our product as musicians doesn't do us that much service creatively. But if you inquire about what's so for you, what you need, what's the empty space? What's the shadow that you see in the world? And how can you shine some light into it? You'll be serving the world in a way that music is especially powerful to do. Well, not everyone gets a chance to play for dance class as much as I have, and while it's challenging and problematic in ways, it was a lot of fun, and it shaped my perspective on music. Dance for PD continues to be an important part of what I do, and I'm going to stick with it as long as I can. I hope this has been useful. Listen, like and subscribe. The channel's doing great, and I'm really happy to be able to talk with you about this stuff. I'll see you next time.